Hmm? Just here. I just switch off this aircon. It's making some background noise. Okay, we are going to start now. Welcome to this live transmission on Facebook for the special interview that we are going to have with one of the notable people from the Patriotic Front government. And of course, I'm talking about Mr. Kelvin Fubebwaria, or popularly known as KBF. And we are lucky we have hosted him in the studios here at KFM. And of course, we are streaming live on Facebook, and the program will be repeated on KFM radio at 20:05 tonight. Let me welcome Mr. Kelvin Wadiafube.
Thank you.
First time I'm meeting you.
Thank you for having me.
And of course, people will be getting to know you for the very first time in Luapula province. Maybe they would want to know, who is KBF? They have read about you in the newspapers, on radio, TV stations. Who is KBF?
I was born and bred in a small town called Mufulira. I went to school in Mufulira. I left Mufulira after my then Form 5. I went to national service. Then I went to study law at the University of Zambia. After that, I became a lawyer. I've been practicing law for the last 30 plus years. And basically, in a nutshell, that's who Kelvin Bwaria is academically. In terms of politics, I have worked with a lot of politicians. I've worked with the late President Chiluba. I've worked with the late Manawasa, the late Sata, the founder of the Patriotic Front. And indeed, I've also worked with the current president of the Patriotic Front, Mr. Edgar Lungu.
Okay, we'll talk about your current political career, but what we want to know is, when did you decide to join politics? Others have come to hear about you during the the current president's tenure, but before, they never used to hear your name, KBF.
I was born in a political home. My father, Mr. Eric Benson Bwaria, was a politician who suffered a lot of imprisonment during the one-party state rule under the first government of Kenneth David Kaunda, our first president. And he joined an organization which was founded by the late Simon Monsaka. They called themselves UPP. And basically, growing up in such a home, I knew politics and what it was. I met a lot of people, Justin Chimbas of this world, John Chisata of this world. I met late Simon Monsaka himself, and all of those other people. I was young by then. In terms of actively getting involved in politics and growing up, the first political party that I really fell in love with was MMD, because coming from a one-party state and getting into multi-partyism, I realized maybe this was important because we needed to develop democracy and the tenets of democracy.
Okay, and of course, you joined the MMD, and of course, we'll move fast. Let's talk about the PF. Why it made you leave the PF, the MMD, to join the PF?
The late President Michael Chilushasada just walked into my office, and you know how he was. He just told me, I need your help.
Elections.
So ninshwai munam kwate chilongano chingani tungirira nokuchingirira ivote lyandi bantu ndemona kwati varenjivira. At that time I was running an organization called Anti-Rigging Zambia. So holo twaingire nomba na basata taoma nakapi kwebati tuombe tufuniepo paridi anchitaba lechusha bantu. So that's how Vasata and I struck a friendship. And since the party was born at inception, twalife muchipani today afuana filafini. Office yandi ali mu EW Tari, mu Cairo Road. Vasata bali performers house just opposite me. So when we needed to talk, kuku itafi baku trap of money fashion. But it was at a distance because paliansha alifu kumonikera sana. But after 2008, I realized I needed to go full time into politics and then get involved a bit deeper. And that's what I did.
And talking about the organization that you had, the anti-rig in Zambia, it was that time in the news for all the bad reason.
Correct.
What was that organization all about? Was it the one that was spearheading the expansion of the Patriotic Front?
Not really. It was, you can say, a sub-organ of the Patriotic Front, because we realized that the then director of elections at the time, a young man called Dan Kalale, had vowed that Wasata Tabakatere would take up as long as he's director of elections. So we wanted to show him that we can actually change the minds of the Zambian people. So we changed the minds of the Zambian people. We changed the image of Wasata. We changed his campaign strategy. We changed the messaging of the PF. And then we came up with Don't Kubeba. We came up with posters. We came up with branding of issues which were happening in Zambia for the very first time. It looks common now, but very few people knew exactly what we're doing. But we could see that we needed to change, especially the youth vote. The PF was very much in touch with the youths and very much in touch with Banamayo, Banamarket, street vendors, taxi drivers, and of course, the minibus driver, So we had to go and make friendship. That is how we wooed people into the PF.
So in other words, you can simply say you were the special advisor to the opposition leader, Michael Chilufya-Sata.
Yes, you can say that, because even at the time, Vasata from 2014, counting on your fingers, I was one of the first 3, 4, 5 people that led Lungu Valley to Kunganda. Now, if I wasn't valuable, why was I called? My elections. So now valley for wafulisho. Twali abatungirira nawo bene. Twabashindika twabashindika State House.
Okay, we'll get to that one. But when I was going through your book today, and let me say thank you for giving me this book. What remains is you to sign, so that I know that it came from you personally. Okay. At the back of the book, it says, within PF circles, you are regarded as an astute strategist who contributed significantly to the election of both the late Michael Chilufya-Sata and His Excellency President Edgar Chagwa Lungu. Our interest is the election of President Edgar Chagwa Lungu. On Michael Sata, you have explained. What role did you play when it comes to... we had issues in Kabwe. What role did you play?
The Commission of Elections that time was now honorable Tutu Angolube. But at the time we had gone to Kabwe, there were factions. I think a lot of people came up some of us decided, look, let's be analytical. They want to president. So to us as strategists and people who are reasoning, perhaps above the politicians at the time who are directly involved, like Mwacho and Honorable Kalaba, he wanted to stand. Chibusa, Honorable Kambwiri wanted to stand. Maus Samba wanted to stand. Simusa, Honorable at the time from Chingola, wanted to stand. Showing an interest. But we said to ourselves, look, we must be reasonable. We must find a candidate who's sellable, a candidate who the people will accept, and a candidate who will not be difficult for the Zambians to know. So we landed Pariba Edgar Chagwa Lungu as presidential candidate at the time. Pantu, at the time he was acting president. Then Baba Justice Minister, Defense Minister, and he was Secretary General of the party. At the time again, but then Vice President, Guy Scott, bali minena bunanka bungwe kawo. Bambo kupiribula amafunde nomba batamfye bachago anefya shala. So we had to go nokia tungirira bachago because we realized for us he was the best candidate at the time. Na chimbinichi basa tabalera ndechibemba bafumina kumuchinga. Abalumendo abalifo kwimanya nabengi bafumina kutu Bembaland. So twabira hawe bala tumona na ifo kwa nakalimo tatwa kwa democratic principle yako bati mitundu imbe kuti yatungula. Edgar Chagwa Lungu came from the Eastern Province. Lungu afuma Eastern Province. So with these credentials and the fact that afumini hoko ni mbuya wesu tumutumgiri. So it became easier to sell that aspect. We went no Kerala and nawe abasata abashire popali insta. Abachikalamba twamfwana twapitamu nabambifya abantu. So ofo twaitire ba Central Committee twabetu ati ngatwashika fe basata ba Central Committee tapali ko baleya twalibekete bonse nokubasunga ku Lusaka nokweba ati since the Central Committee is the highest organ before the General Conference, in between conferences eba kula pangama decision. And that's how we educated the Central Committee at the time about the constitution of the party nama rights yabo, because balifu abale wanyantirira. So when they realized that they had the power, ilo batampinombo kuonfirm powers. Mwalimu wene kwa Einstein wa Scott bali tamsheba Lungu wa Secretary General. Babika po ba muira bazala babika po ba Nixon Chilangwa fofine nefa pitiremu. But the point is chali babwele la Lungu, because we said guys Scott ngalefo kutambya ba Edgar Lungu. Twala mutambya niye. Pan Central Committee alikuwa tamakali. Kuche expel ngalefo kulete mfunganyo mpate, which is what we wanted to do. And we took that decision. Elo kwa saba kuba kwati kuwe na munuma twamfana and demo na mwani mwene picture twale kufahamu kuli Guy Scott. GBM Kambwidi Kalava bainonge wina na bashala bonzi nokwe batawe if you watch na urufya nya wala tobe chipani. So tien tumfana Guy Scott of our number.
You threatened him?
It wasn't a threat, but it was a question of making a decision. In politics, we take decisions. And if somebody is being indisciplined, you discipline them. And if that decision was a threat, so be it. But he came on board. Ariwesha womutima, mukalamba, atontongani. Ayu shofu waleanga na wasata nicha refoeko. Amono kwa bati chinka nichi. So kuwa wesha wagu. Efotu wapishi wagu. Efotu waere kukaba. We wasted 31 days to lerua from PF out of 90 days. Pali la constitution ya lipakari. We campaigned for close to 21, 22 days to get to Lungu kuishibikwa nokuya mchalo chance nefashela. Aisa pitana kupila pa 20th January 2015.
And of course, talking about the convention that you had, Kukawekuria, the strategy you used in terms of electing the current president of the party. People say you use like an orthodox method whereby you just, instead of casting a ballot, we were told, we were not there, said people were raising hands for the first time. Is it part of the...
I'm a politics. Once you have a Verenga PF constitution, it's very clear. The PF constitution says that a candidate, a presidential candidate, must be supported by at least 20 people from each province. The candidate at the time, Edgar Chagwa Lungu, had 20 people and more from each province supporting his candidature. The constitution further says, ngapalifyo muntu umo, ewe manine na ngwewa chitafaya wa nomination, there is no need to cast the ballot. You can vote by acclamation. Effort watched it. Pantu wadeba mbi, awalefo kuima, nanga wana chilumbula pa festu. Maile kuliwa Guy Scott. They didn't believe convention to akwete. It was a genuine convention. So we voted. And by acclamation, to elect Lungu. That is allowed by the PF constitution, by the way. There was nothing illegal there.
Okay, so let me get this thing clear now. Was the current president of Patriotic Front chosen by the late President Michael Sata, or it's you, the people, decided to bring in the current president of the PF?
I don't understand the question, but
because we've heard stories that it's the late president who said
awe na imwe ifyo mulefunyapo muliwa journalist mwasanga mwechishinka ama politics nga twechita campaign ama stories abayenge kawaimani na pa platform ufile washimika kashimi iko abantu bengomfu ati twaleta ntadistafyo kwe bati bali bashirire so imwenga abantu muletira shani apali umunwe epali ibala so abantu abene bali kiteko kudu kwe bati kwena nafira ngafi nombo kwe bati basada bali funisha omupu ate mweshi bukwe bati yo ichicha alipo icho chena bufi tetimpa yokubepo bufi but the candidature yaba Lungu yaileva endorsed convention kukaboko twaida so the people of Zambia bali mu PF at the time ngaifwe bene mfuta wasali.
Okay, and of course, in case you've just joined us, we are live on Facebook, and of course, we'll also rebroadcast the same program at 20:05 on KFM Radio 95.5 right here in Luapula Province. The elections that were conducted, the last elections, there were some issues that were raised, and the big question is, we know we can't touch on issues that are in the courts of law, but we'll say the only question we would ask, were they free and fair, or there was something that you as a strategist used to make the PF win the elections?
There was nothing wrong with the last elections that we had. These were the first elections we're holding in the new constitution, which was Act number 2 of 2016, which was signed on the 5th of January 2016 by the president. What people didn't understand is that this constitution wanted to clarify certain anomalies, certain misnomers, and explain what was going to be happening. For instance, the issue of having a running mate. The president had to have a running mate. In this case, for President Wali Sariokobati, Honorable Madam Inonge Wina, will be his running mate. Number 2, the 50+1 became an issue. Grade 12 certificate became an issue. All these things came in the new constitution. But in terms of the actual voting, the same pattern of voting, I think if you know Zambian politics, everybody understands that Southern Province, block voting. Whether women in the party or not, whether you're capable or not, they'll vote in that manner. And that we knew. So as a strategy, we realized that Southern Province, we needed to have agents on the ground, but they were being intimidated. And that's not just with this last election, even with the previous elections, so we concentrated on the areas of Otisha and we won big. So for anyone to say there was something wrong with the last elections, that's a lie. PF won those elections fair and square. The next thing that happened in the new constitution was that UPND, as usual, went to court. Now, they didn't understand that the new constitution had limitations on time as to how you're going to file your election petition, how you're going to fight your election petition. It had to be done within 14 days. Produce all your evidence within 14 days. A judgment to be delivered within 14 days because there had to be a swearing-in ceremony. If you remember, President Lungu sat in State House as president-elect, waiting for the 14 days to run until the Constitutional Court, which was a new court in the new constitution, pronounced to cover it. What the opposition was doing was wasting time, bringing in preliminary issues. 14 days the Constitution does not allow us to go beyond 14 days. What that meant was the court was saying, if we do anything now to hear you and render a judgment, we'll be out of jurisdiction. Because Amaka Constitution, within 14 days, this thing must finish and we must render an opinion, which is a judgment. But if you look at it, for one witness, but if you look at it, one document, what was the court supposed to do? The court ruled. They failed to argue their case in 14 days. That's the new law. So if you're going to stand as a presidential candidate in the new constitution, make sure that your agents are educated to know that as the elections are going on, you're gathering evidence, Nakulimao practice, which you must take to court within 14 days and present to the court. You can't just say, no, there was malpractice. Where's the evidence? Ama judges, they wait for the evidence to come from the complainant, in this case, the petitioner, who were HH and GBM as running mates under the new constitution. They failed to adduce one witness. They failed to produce even one document before the court. They were just bringing up preliminary points. Those preliminary points were ruled on, some were agreed, some were thrown out. That's how they lost that case. Time was wasted on irrelevant material. The elections were free and fair.
Okay, nice to hear that. And of course, we'll get back to you to the question of you being a strategist, because I want to ask you a question about the slogan that you came up with. Was it to deceive the people or to make the people vote for the PF? But before we do that, let's talk about you within the PF. You have, lack of a better term, you are not that popular at the moment.
Popular with who?
People have been talking bad about you, and of course, within your party, the PF,
part of the leadership,
part of the leadership.
Say the leadership, because grassroots, everybody loves me.
So the problem is with the leadership.
Yes, that I can tell you straight to your face.
What wrong have you done?
No wrong.
You are the strategist.
I stick to the truth.
You made them to be in power. But,
yes,
yeah.
I stick to the truth. And for me, I say the truth even when it hurts. So for me, as a political party, I'll speak my mind.
What did you tell them?
Wrong, I've issued statements. I've made statements which are very critical. I've made statements which are very open.
Cite one.
Well, you go to social media, you'll find me on Facebook as well. My statements are very clear. When something is wrong, I speak. I don't believe that simply because I belong to a political party, even if today Rufiania, I should just be agreeing. God gave me a brain to think. If the brain tells me this is wrong, it's going against the policies that we've started the party with, I'll speak. Well, so I'm not unpopular. Don't be misled. I'm not unpopular. I might be unpopular with some of my friends in leadership, but that's because they want to protect themselves. Because now if they make mistakes, we should keep quiet. No, I campaigned. I voted. I went to the people and convinced them to vote for my party. I should go back to the people and tell them, apana tutena.
Why can't you engage them privately before you like expose them?
Do you know how many times we've done that? Do you want me to show you how many SMSs, how many WhatsApp messages I've sent to the political aides, to the advisors, to the president? Do they respond? I know the president may not respond. I used to send him messages, I've stopped. I used to send messages to the aides, I've stopped.
So you're saying you're not in talking terms with the current president after you put him in?
No, it's not a question of not being in talking terms. Okay? And your opinion is being heard. And you can know that here my advice is being taken. Or if it's not being taken, there's a good reason being given to it. But I don't want people to start thinking I'm part of the fault. I should speak. I'm not as distant as the man in Kaputa. No, I live in Osaka. I've got the numbers to the president. I've got the numbers to Amos Chanda. I've got the numbers to KZ. I've got the numbers to Freedom Skazo. So I can call them and I can send messages. Now, if something goes wrong and I'm not being answered or something is not being done in the manner that I think an explanation is owed, then I'll go public. Because for me, no, I speak when something is wrong. And that's who I am. So it's not a question of being unpopular. No. It's a question of perhaps not saying what they want me to say.
So can you just highlight one of the things that you are not happy with? Let's be particular so that we can put the listeners out there, even the people who are viewing us on Facebook, into light. What are some of the issues that you are not happy with that are happening in the current leadership of the party?
What did we campaign on as PF?
Lower taxes, more money.
More money in people's pockets.
You coined that phrase, you yourself as a strategist?
I know I didn't coin it. And we knew what we wanted to do. We wanted to create more jobs. We wanted to lower the taxes. We wanted to put money into people's pockets. Is that what's happening now? No, if ngatuachitadda is grace palicho, and some of the policies, if it today chitatafile konka mulifyo, nkani okulanda. How mwalanjerela. My brain tells me I should speak. Whether I'm in PF or not, I'll speak. That doesn't make me unpopular. In fact, it makes me very popular with the grassroots. That's why I'm saying it may make me unpopular with some of my friends in leadership. But so I'll speak my mind.
And now you have talked about the promises that you made to the people out there, to people who voted you into power. And of course, we are on the ground. And the message that some people are bringing out is that you cheated them. You promised them that taxes will go down.
Now you're agreeing with me as to why I'm talking, isn't it?
But
because I know we can do better. I know we can do better as a leadership. I know we can.
Is it something that you can achieve? We can achieve as a country, lowering taxes, looking at the needs that this country has. We need the taxes.
If some policies are changed, yes, we can. We can create jobs in this country using local resources. We can lower the taxes if we spread the tax base. We can do a lot of things. Do we have the political will? That's my question. We need leadership that's going to push that political agenda. We need leadership that's not going to go against the Zambian people. There are 4 things that are affecting our government today. My government, the government that I voted for. 1, the budget is not helping. The budget has got wrong priorities. If anyone tells you that the budget has got the correct priorities, it is wrong. And the past budgets have been more or less the same. Number 2, our loans, our borrowing has been heavy, but we don't even have a system of how we're going to pay back. So we turn to the Zambians and want to tax them and overtax them. That is wrong. 3, our procurement system is wrong. Most of the procurement is overinflated. You can't procure a road 1 kilometer for $1 million. Which country has that? Takwaba. So who's creaming the top money? Those are problems for me. I should speak on behalf of the Zambian people because I understand. I'm not an economist, but I've spoken to people. We are the think tank. We had people from the universities, lecturers, who used to sit with us, who used to think with us. We had engineers who used to be in this think tank. We knew the cost of a road. When he was coming up with Link Zambia 8,000, we knew what we wanted to do, how much money we were going to put in there. We knew exactly what we wanted to do. We knew the second phase, the second wave of attack was going to be industrialization and the creation of jobs. So we knew exactly how this thing was going to be phased out and worked out. Is that what's happening now? No. So I've got to speak. Because in the Mapa drawing board, they agree. I can't keep saying we're on the right path. No. Definitely. I've got to go back to my leadership and say, Vani, not to Lufiani. Tent wekele kufetua mfweni. Tent wekele kufetua mfweni, kufetua la idea bantu. So you can't say personally, no, because I believed in the policies of the party. I still do. But the people we have put in office to execute those policies, that's why I'm talking.
How much did you contribute in terms of the formulation of the Patriotic Front Manifesto? I think it's a guide. Did you contribute anything?
Like I said, we're the think tank. We used to think together. So there were groups in there. We used to throw ideas around. Bashkuro Povali, GBMO Povali, Bob Sichingo Povali, and other people around the table sitting with us. From UNZA, lecturers and others, I can't mention names here, but we used to sit and talk. If you're to Lavile, if you, we had a plan. Why are we shifting away from the plan? That's my question. That's the issue for me. So I'm saying let's go back to basics, back to the drawing board. Now you can't say, when I say let's go back, that makes me unpopular. No. In fact, I want to believe that you know the chink.
And of course, others are saying the loan thing that is going on inside Shabu Appetite to get money from outside started with the late President Michael Sata. Did you attend one time raise the red light and tell him that we might find ourselves in a situation where we are at the moment?
With the late president, we had a plan. We knew exactly what the system and how it was going to be. We knew how much money we were going to borrow. We knew what we're going to use the money for. And we knew how the loans were going to be repaid. That's what I'm not saying now. What's more, with the late Sata, there was discipline, physical discipline, economic discipline. Corruption. He was allergic to corruption. How many ministers were fired, even from this province? How many were fired? They found their way back into government. So it's a question mark for me. If a person is fired because corrupt, those are issues. Discipline. That's the political will. There must be in leadership the political will to discipline. When somebody defaults, somebody is wrong, discipline them. Whether they could campaign or not, discipline that person. The Zambian people deserve much more than that.
Okay, we're talking to KBF, and of course, we're just talking about the various issues affecting our nation, and of course we are live on Facebook, and of course we'll be rebroadcasting this same interview at 20:05. So don't miss it tonight at 20:05 on KFM 95.5. And people talk about politicians. You have got this phrase, positive criticism. It's like you are just criticizing. Maybe you're not offering the alternatives to the current leadership. I know you've mentioned some of these issues, but you know how you politicians are. They would say, oh, KBF is just talking.
I have never criticized my government without offering a solution. I'm not one of those people. Every time I stand up and speak, I have a solution, or at least a proposal, or some advice to give. That's what I believe in. Because I believe that there must be solutions to every problem. If those solutions are not taken, it's not my fault. If the people think they have the monopoly of wisdom and they can't listen to other people, so for me, I do offer solutions. I do offer proposals. I do offer answers and recommendations. They're not taken up because people think they know better. But it's Zambians, and that's what I'm crying for. I can sit in my office, practice my law, and keep quiet. In a nakuladia, 3 meals a day. Nakula inshe mietoka, na ana kukoti, na wela, na panganin dalam. What about the Zambian in Shangombe, Kaputa, Nakonde, Mpulungu, Mbala? What about the person who aikala Pama Island, but he's a Zambian? He's not aware of what's happening in Lusaka, but it's affecting him. There's got to be somebody to speak. Because tefu tuatampile pate. Techo tuayevile tukachitecho. Ngatualufianya, we must correct it. Look, leadership is about being bold and accepting what's wrong. Leadership is about apologizing when you're wrong. Leadership is about giving direction to the nation. And there's no guidance, or seemingly no guidance. I'm saying no. Some of us have been trained enough from childhood to be leaders. We are now ready to be leaders.
Okay, and are you now trying to say that there are now divisions in the party? We've heard stories of the true Greens, and I don't know if there is a fake Green. Some people have come to confide in us that they are not happy. You were at first you were close to the current leadership, and of course, at what stage did you decide to incorporate the party that people never wanted to be in charge of, in terms of the affairs of the nation?
At what stage? Like I said, I am not the one who's sitting at the helm of power. So I'm not the one who's appointing those people. As far as I'm concerned, if the president feels and gives credence to those people, so be it. He has chosen which side to work with. He has chosen which people to work with. But those are the people we fought against. Some of those people are the people insulting our late president. Some of those people were people who Asata did not even want to talk to. But if we have forgiven them and we think they can help this country, that's the new thinking of the political leadership. So be it. Titinkan. That's a discretion that the president enjoys. The president enjoys the discretion of appointing and disappointing. He can appoint ministers. He has appointed. We've got over 18 ministers from MMD in our current PF government. Do I have a choice about that? No. My president has decided. It's his prerogative. I may not agree at an individual level with some of the appointments, but that's what he has chosen to do.
So what's the status of the Patriotic Front at the moment? Is it a divided party?
I don't understand what you mean by divided.
We've heard stories.
Simply because you have a divergent of views doesn't mean you're divided. It simply means you are a thinking party. You're vibrant.
You have a divergent view, but you are being considered as a troublemaker.
Who's considering
they
you as a
wrote
troublemaker?
to you. They wrote to you a
Who
letter
wrote to me?
to exculpate yourself with Ari Kalaba.
Let me clarify that issue. You know, the problem we have is we've got so many people who want to play politics on social media. I have not received a letter from my Secretary General to exculpate myself. Media houses have come to me, television stations have come to me, and I've given them the same answer and them Mpela. The Secretary General, Honorable Davis Mwila, has never written me a letter to exculpate myself. So what letter do you want me to reply to? I have no comment on that issue. There is no letter.
Okay, let's talk about now something, some issues that are affecting even those people who are not interested in politics. The issue of Zambia's economy. I want your independent opinion on how our economy is performing.
You've read my book?
Yes, I received it at 10 hours. I am still going through it.
What is the title of the book?
It's Zambia Must Prosper.
Correct.
Actualizing Zambia's prayer for prosperity.
I am a Christian, and I believe very strongly that this country must not be in the state that it's in. We are endowed with natural resources as a nation. Mention all the minerals, they are found in this country. 40% of the water bodies here, freshwater bodies in SADC region, are in this country. Why are we suffering? We've got the birds, we've got the wildlife, we've got the trees, we've got the vegetation. Why are we suffering? Natural resources married with the ability of the human resource of the Zambian people. We should not be in this state. That's why I wrote this book. The problem we have is that some people who are vying for political office today do not have the service of the Zambian people at heart. They have gone into politics to enrich themselves. I'm against that. That is why in this book, I have discussed the role of the family as the first unit that creates the community and creates the nation. After that, you find that on page 42. You can go there quickly. After that, you'll find that I've discussed traditional leaders and the amount of wealth that they control. Our traditional leaders control almost 80% of our natural resources, of our water bodies, our minerals. And these are the people who are being visited by night by so-called investors, signing documents that sometimes they don't even understand. I am glad some of our traditional leaders understand this, and they're standing up now to say, no, we can't do this. Third, I have said the business and the way we do business in this country must change. Most of the political leaders we have today go to negotiate on behalf of Zambia without even reading a document. They just go and sit in front of people who are giving them money or people they're trying to ask for help from without understanding anything. That's wrong. We've got enough intellectuals in this country to read documents, to understand and go and negotiate. In business, You don't get what you want. You get what you negotiate. So some of the terms and conditions we're being given as a country are not correct. We expect our politicians to do that. But I'm saying, have we investigated those politicians? What is their background? How do you expect a guy who doesn't understand anything about a document to go and negotiate a document? That's the problem. Caliber, leadership, the quality of leadership is very important. 54, 55 years after independence, we should not be treating the Zambians to this. That's why I'm refusing. In addition, in my book, I have discussed the church and the role of the church. The whole of chapter 4 of my book is about the role of the church. The church has surrendered its authority to politicians. You find bishops, reverends, pastors kneeling before politicians. For what? Where have you seen that in the Bible? You go and read from where the kings started off in the Bible, the Chronicles, the Judges. You go and see every political leader we call a king had a spiritual leader they called a prophet. He consulted the prophet before he even went into war, before he went to do anything. The spiritual power to elect or choose a king was with the spiritual leaders. Why has the current church surrendered that power? Finchi church riretina, ubupina. Because the church is broke, they want to surrender their influence. I am saying no. Let's give power back to the church. The church deserves that power. The church must scrutinize who wants to stand for elections. They must scrutinize the background of this person and advise the politicians. That's very important. These are things that never used to happen. I'm discussing them in my book. In addition, in this book, Zambia Must Prosper, I have also discussed how you and me can prosper the youths and the women. There are chapters specifically for those. There are chapters there for the disabled. But most importantly, I have argued Zambia must be for Zambians. We are Christians, yes, and we are told by the Bible we must accept foreigners when they come into the country. But nowhere in the Bible does it say that the foreigners must take over. Now, if the political leadership is not protecting its citizens against the foreigners, I should keep quiet. I should speak on behalf of the poor Zambians because God gave me a brain, and I should speak on their behalf because I'm more exposed than they are. I understand these things better than they do. So if I keep quiet, I will be culpable myself of those offenses. I don't want to be. So if those are areas where you're saying that they're calling me a troublemaker, let me be a troublemaker on behalf of the Zambian people. Let the Zambian people judge me, not the people sitting in the upper echelons of power because they want to preserve themselves. No, I'm not interested.
And of course, in a nutshell, for the sake of the ordinary citizen out there, how is Zambia's economy performing? You have highlighted a number of issues, but I want you to make it simple.
If you read my book, I give a very simple example.
In Zambia, we've got a bad reading culture, so yes, not everyone will have access to this.
This is why I'm talking to you.
Yeah.
If you've got in a village 100 families and you're given 10 bags of minimum to share, how many families will feed? 10. That's how bad the economy is. In a nutshell, I'm trying to be very simplistic. So what we should do is increase our production. That's what creates wealth. We should increase and find more food. In increasing that productivity, we're increasing the job prospects because the youths then will be employed. Because to produce that food, we have to employ more people. Jobs do not come because the government has given you money. No, you create the wealth by the God-given talent that God has given you. In this book, I've also argued against the educational system. Some of the syllabuses must change. The education I went through myself must not be the education my children will go through. We must understand that education changes. Syllabuses must change. We can't keep the same syllabus for 50 years. What kind of thinking is that? Which nation does that? It can't work. Teaching a schoolboy today English is not as important as teaching him skills. Let's teach these young men, these women, these young girls, the skills that they have and develop them. I'll give an example. 3-4 months ago, we were watching the World Cup. Ronaldo, Messi, Avena Rooney, Rashford, all those boys. We watched them. Do you know those boys have not been to university? but they get £300,000 per week for kicking a ball. Why can't we develop talent here? Fill up our stadiums and pay our boys. There are kids who can sing in this country. I have adopted a son, a very young man. You call him the son of Africa, Ephraim. He lives off music. He's a very good friend of mine. Ephraim hasn't been as far as university, no, but he lives off music because he found his niche. There are many kids on the streets today who've got talents. We must encourage that. The development of skills, carpentry, foundry, metalwork, all these other things. Those are skills that we can impart, which kids can go and make furniture on the street for, and live off that instead of trying to teach them A, B, C, D. What's that going to do for a kid? Why don't we teach these boys how to do fish farming? There's no province in the country which has more water than this province. Why are you not doing fish farming here? That, to me, is a misplacement of priorities. We must understand that this nation deserves so much better, and all you do is to strategize, is to think ahead and understand what the nation needs. The young men who are graduating today, they'll throw their hats on graduation day. Watch that graduate, not graduate. Are there jobs out there? No. So what do we do to those graduates? Let's talk about self-employment. Why should they be looking for jobs in government all the time? We should be looking at how those boys can improve this country by being self-employed and employing other people. In an African country, in a continent for myself, I don't think you need more than 1-2 degrees. You're wasting your time. 1 degree is enough. With the welfare that we have, with the wealth that we have, we should be able to use that degree to feed you. But it doesn't make financial sense. It doesn't make economic sense. You've got so many nurses graduating, you can't place them in hospitals. You've got teachers graduating, you can't give them schools where they can go and teach. You've got so many engineers, they don't even know where to start. Misplacement of manpower. We must understand that the educational system needs an overhaul. Let's teach practical courses. Let's teach things that are good. Even the companies that come in here, they call themselves investors, industrialists. What is their social corporate responsibility to the community in which they live? They mine our copper, our cobalt, our emeralds, and they take it out. What are they giving back to the community? Nothing. We sit. Political leadership, genuine political leadership, needs to see that. That's wrong. They must put up policies that go and affect that company to feed the community in which they're stealing or taking money from.
Okay, now that you touched on the issue of the young men and women, and most of them are employed by the media. And of course, it's a fourth estate, the media. And of course, you have got a page dedicated to the media.
Yes.
And I think the question is, how do you look at the media industry in Zambia? Are we free to operate in this country? And what does your manifesto say, the PF manifesto, as regards to the media? Some of us have been victimized before. So what does the PF manifesto say about
the media? Is free to operate in this country. The problem is sometimes you have some overzealous politicians who want to be overzealous for no reason. They're scared of you people because you put a mic in front of them. Most of those people don't even know what to say. I know of some appointees who can't read a speech. I'm saying 54, 55 years after independence, we shouldn't be appointing such people. There are enough graduates who can do that job. We shouldn't be appointing DCs simply because they're cadres. No. Let's appoint people who are mature, who are educated, and can run with the manifesto of the party. That's what I'm trying to say. In terms of leadership, we must bring in this culture where we bring in people who are going to deliver based on our manifesto. Our manifesto is very open. We are pro-media.
And of course, now still talking about the media industry, I think there's a discussion that is going on this week. You are part of the CCPC.
Yes.
I think people want to know the truth about ZMBC. And how do you come in as CCPC in the issue of ZNBC, Topstar. People are now confused. They are asking questions. What is really going on? Is ZNBC gone?
No, it's not. ZNBC is still a statutory body under Cap 154 of the laws of Zambia, the Zambia National Broadcasting Corporation Act. It's the statutory body created by statute, by Parliament. But as a statutory body, it is allowed to enter into business partnerships. So what ZNBC has done is joined with a company called Hantex, stemming off from Hong Kong. Now, under competition law, any partnership that is supposed to come into existence, we must look at the competition ethics, competition principles. One of the problems we had with the JV called Topstar, formed by
the joint venture
formed by ZNBC and Hantex, was that it gave 100% domination, one, of the signal channel and the content distribution to one person, the JV. We said no. Under competition, there will be an abuse here because Section 16 of the CCPC Act tells us that a dominant player likely to abuse his authority against other people cannot participate in, one, the signal, the distribution, and compete with the same people he's giving signal to. That's what was happening. For example, in the recent World Cup, Kwese, as a TV station, negotiated under free-to-air channels to show some World Cup matches for free. Topstar refused them because by that time, we hadn't made a decision. They were controlling the signal and controlling the content. So they refused to give them the content. That defeats competition. What is the aim of competition? Competition in business terms must, one, improve the quality of service. Two, improve the quality of goods deliverance, but must reduce the price because people have got a wider choice. Now that was defeating those three principles. So we said, no, we can't give this. So we've split the arrangement. They've got the JV. We said you can continue with the JV. The joint venture, you can continue. But ZNBC will control the content and the distribution of the content. The signal will be controlled by Topstar. You must understand there's a very big sum of money attached to this loan which was gotten, $400 million.
And not 275, which we are hearing?
No, it is $400 million. Our calculations indicate we can pay this loan with the decoders and these payments, subscription fees, between 13 and 15 years. We should pay back this money. So as CCPC, we have given a condition. Once this loan is paid back, ZNBC and the Hantex must dissolve the arrangement. This JV.
We are hearing of the new name, Hantex. But when this whole thing started, not even one of the people in authority mentioned about this name now.
Because they don't want to give you details. That's what I'm saying. They don't
knew about Topstar.
No, Topstar is the joint venture special purpose vehicle, which brought ZNBC and Hantex together. A special purpose vehicle. We are saying that special purpose vehicle can continue with the signal, but ZNBC maintains the content and distribution. There's also an angle here. Under Section 31 of our Act under the CCPC, we must control a bit of public interest. For us, that also involves security for the nation. So we can't give content to a foreign company coming out of Hong Kong simply because it's under JV. No. Everything that the president says, the minister says, they're controlling. No. That must be controlled by our unit, a public broadcaster called ZNBC. So for us, we're interested in controlling the sovereignty of the nation.
So what happens if after 13 years we default?
Default what?
You
watch TV every day. You've already a decoder according to the Topstar arrangement.
But it's possible someone can default in terms
of. We have gone digital. Please understand. In 2014, the Zambian government took a policy directive that we shall go digital. This is now being actualized, but they didn't have the money to implement it, hence this loan. So there's no need of even worrying about defaulting, because a decoder is required for you to watch TV today. Even ZNBC, you can't watch without a decoder now, because it's no longer analog, it's digital. You need a decoder. To buy that decoder from Topstar, you need $10. Monthly subscription is $3. So we know that there will be no default because people watch TV. Now, all these other units, Diamond TV, Kwese TV, Prime TV, they are all buying signal from ZNBC, which is what we've directed. So there will be no default. People need news. They need information. The default won't be there. This loan will be serviced by the subscriptions that the Zambians are paying to watch and view content.
Okay, I think you have made it clear on the issue of ZNBC, and I hope people out there do understand now what is going on, and of course an assurance that you have made that there will be no default. But there are other loans that people are talking about,
yes,
which your party, yes, who are running the government, have gotten from other sources. Do you think we are going to manage to pay back all these loans? And we are told that there is the Euro bond, which will reach its maturity by 2021-22.
That's a very good question, but I wish you'd ask the Minister of Finance, because those are some of the things that I'm talking about. If we overborrow and we're incapable of paying, then what? It's a very good question, but I don't know what plans they've put in place. I have complained against the overborrowing myself. It's dangerous for the nation. We had cleared this issue. We had moved away from a debt situation. We are now back into debt. So it's a good question, but I can't answer on behalf of government. I am not in government. I belong to the party, but I'm not a government spokesperson. I can't answer that.
Okay, let me talk about something that you can be able to answer. The Public Order Act. You promised, you were when you were in the opposition in Parliament, you were promising, when we come into power, we'll do away with the Public Order Act. You come into power, I don't know, that's when you realize that you need the Public Order Act. And now people are saying, yeah, abusing it. You have gone overboard. People are being fished out of churches. People can't go shopping.
No, I don't think that's correct. The Public Order Act is a very old statute. It's always been there since the colonial days. It's an important statute because it controls meetings, gatherings, etc. But you must understand there have been Supreme Court decisions on how to use the Public Order Act. The Supreme Court has guided that all you need to do is to inform the police of your intentions to gather. It's not like you're asking for permission. You're not schoolboys. No, inform the police. Why should the police be informed? In case there's a riot, in case there are fights, in case something breaks out and the police didn't know, manpower is required. But also to regulate behavior. So for me, I don't think the Public Order Act per se is a bad law. It's how it's implemented. Again, it goes back to who's implementing that. I'm not in government. So I can't answer. Ask the Minister of Home Affairs. Ask the IG how they're implementing that. Those are the executioners of the act. For me, I'd say it's a good statute, save that it is being administered properly. Let the Minister of Home Affairs answer that issue. He directs the police.
As a lawyer?
As a lawyer, it's a good law.
Okay.
It's good for public order to be regulated. Otherwise, there will be chaos. Anywhere you go, there will be chaos. There's nothing wrong with regulation of public order. Even when you're having a football match, sometimes the referee blows offside when it's not offside. What do? People scamper, people die. You've heard of the Hillsborough problem in England. People died. How many people were killed? Stampedes, what? So even football, which is as innocent as just going to watch, people can die. You will need policemen to be present, just in case the crowds get nasty. The referee can be put under pressure. He needs protection. Even with FIFA, they realize you need protection of the referees. Because, you know, those whistles they have, that's authority. But if people think that authority is being abused, people can react.
Okay, now let's talk about the issue. I think this one might be personal. You and the PF, your relationship is not at its best.
With who?
With the PF.
Which PF?
Okay,
I have told you, you
okay,
must distinguish. There are certain culprits, certain people in the leadership of the PF.
Okay, the leadership are not happy with you.
Not everybody. Some people in the leadership who are scared because I opened my mouth. Yes, those I agree. But not everybody.
If it reaches a stage whereby they say, I think we no longer want you, because we've heard from the newspapers that you have been given an ultimatum. You respond
I have
by
said
this.
to you that
as we are following what is being said by the SG.
And I'm saying to you, you can call Honorable Davis Muila today. I'm challenging you. Call him. Whether he has saved me with a letter. The 14 days expired anyway, by the way. It's run away. I have never received a letter to exculpate myself. So I can't comment.
So you're going to stick with the PF?
I am PF. Are you going to run away?
90% of the people in the leadership don't want you. You still
are they going to be there forever? Those people in leadership, are they going to be there forever? The people who choose leaders are the grassroots, not the people in leadership. Don't forget, when we coined Donch Kubeva, there can be Donch Kubeva reloaded. Whether you have money, the money can't work if people don't like you. RB tried it. Go and ask him. MMD tried it. Ask them.
So you're saying lightning might strike twice?
People have the right to choose their leaders. And simply because someone has got money doesn't necessarily mean people like him. No. They'll salute him, but they don't respect him. But I can assure you, I've gone nowhere across this country where people have insulted me. Because they can relate with me. They know how I speak. They know I speak for them. I'm not beating around the bush. No, I don't. I'm a very straightforward talker. Besides, I'm a very serious Christian.